Alright. Alright. Hey everybody, I am Jeffrey Jansen. Today is December 17th, 2018. Just a second here. Just a minute. Just a second. There you go. Alright, sorry about that. Alright, real quick while I'm waiting, I want to do an epilogue, or a prologue. I'm reading, I can't even get this stuff done right here. There we go. That'll be fine. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. We are going to quickly read the epilogue of what's going on with Chesty Puller, okay? So, today what I want to do is I want to read I'm going to read the prologue first, okay? And then what we're going to do is, while I'm waiting on my class to show up, and what I want to do is, because this book is called Chesty, okay? He was too tough even for the Marine Corps. Marines, the life of Chesty Puller, the only Marine in history to win 5 Navy Crosses. And it's by Burke Davis, okay? And what I want to do is I want to read the prologue, and then each day I'll read another chapter. And you guys can understand a little bit why Chesty Puller is, why he's known in the Marine Corps and everything, okay? So what I want to do is make sure, anyway, to start out with, it goes to the thousands of Marines who served with General Puller in 4 wars. This is the prologue. There was a snowstorm in the morning. It screened Chinese foxholes on hills above the perimeter and muffled artillery fire from the road to the pass, where the 1st Marine Division was fighting its way to the south. It was December 8th, 1950, on the frozen plateau of Koto-ri in the North Korean mountains. The troops were the 1st Marine Regiment, rear guard in one of the tragedies of American military history. A funeral was in progress. The thermometer by the commander's tent stood at 25 below zero at the dawn. When the 1st men tried to dig graves, their picks were useless in the iron-hard earth. Dynamite crews set off blasts, but the earth heaved up in enormous black blocks of ice. The commander halted them. More than 100 bodies waited in a row of tents, stifling frozen, stacked like corkwood. They'll stay like that until the spring thaw, the commander said, but we can't leave them to the wild dogs. Blast out those potato sellers. When the holes had been opened, the officers called in the battalion of tanks for the burial, for there was no other way. The beams of headlights were lost in the swirling snow, and the roaring of the motors was carried away in the wind as the tanks made the graves. Back and forth crunching ice blocks of earth upon the frozen bodies, the tanks buried the dead. The commander was Colonel Louis Burwell Puller, 52 years old, 32 years a U.S. Marine. He was in the process of winning his 5th Navy Cross, the nation's 2nd highest military award. No other Marine had won so many. He was not a large man, but his slight, spare frame was erect to the limit of its 5 feet 10 inches. The great thrust of his chest was obvious beneath the bulky uniform. The face was seamed and brown as rehab as totten pole. Beneath an ancient cap, the almond-shaped eyes glinted green. The colonel gripped the short pipe in his teeth as if he were on the point of gulging it down. His voice carried over the wind and down the rows of shuddering canvas like a navy bullhorn. Among themselves, he was known to be the men of the corps only as Chesty Puller. The commandant of the Marine Corps had lately spoken to Colonel Puller. He's about the only man in the Corps who really loves to fight. I'll go further. He's the only man in any of our services who loves fighting. For 2 weeks, Puller had commanded the rear of the 1st Marine Division, cut off in the chosen reservoir region by the hundreds of thousands of Chinese communist troops. The colonel was visiting a hospital tent where a priest administered last rites to the Marines wounded when a messenger came. Sir, do you know they've cut us off? We've entirely surrounded. Those poor bastards, Puller said. They've got us right where we want them. We can shoot in every direction now. There have been last-minute reinforcements. A battalion of U.S. Army troops was fought its way through the enemy with heavy losses. Its colonel reported to Puller for orders. Take your position along those hills and have your men dig in. Yes, sir. Now where's the line of retreat? Puller's voice became slow and hard. I'm glad you asked me that. Now I know where you stand. Wait 1 minute. He took a field telephone and called in the tank commander. The Army officer listened to the Marine order. I've got a new outfit, Puller said. He gave his position in detail. If they start to pull back from that line, even 1 foot, I want you to open fire on them. He hung up on the telephone and turned to the Army officer. Does that answer your question? The last plane flew out of the afternoon through a momentary gap in the clouds. It carried 19 wounded through the falling snow, the last of 2,500 who had been flown to safety. The rear guard prepared to join the withdrawal. I'll read more in a little bit.